Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel if I'm Joelle, or welcome if you're new here. In the final video for this week, I am doing another installment of remaking one of my old Bloxburg builds. And today's build that I'm going to be remaking is my second most viewed Bloxburg build, which is my infamous Dunkin' Donuts build. You guys, I struggled with this one, to be honest. It was a bit of a challenge because of the whole other building for bathrooms that I created on the original build, but I'm actually shocked I was still able to stick to that and make it look good. So the guidelines that I have to follow for this are the exact same as the first installment's guidelines. I simply can't add any walls and I can't remove any walls, and I also have to keep the layout the exact same. I'm allowed to move buildings though. That's the only way the layout will change. I'm allowed to move the buildings further back in the plot or closer in the plot depending on what I need it to be. So yeah, enjoy. I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. Alright, so to start, here is the tour of my original build. You guys, I cannot tell you what was going on in my mind when I was doing this. I don't know why everything's so bright orange. The outside color makes sense, but the inside color with all the bright orange on the floor and on the walls and the red is just not cute. And for whatever reason, I decided to make a whole separate building for bathrooms. So now I have to work with that with exactly the same weird construction that I chose originally. So you'll see how I fix that, kind of. And this small little kitchen with these bright orange walls and clear roof everywhere. Let's get rid of it. So I started off with this parking lot area here you see me making, because I'm like, okay, this thing needs a parking lot for sure. So I just did a concrete square and I used plain marking for the markings of the parking spots. Pretty simple. So since I bulldozed everything, I took screenshots and put them in a quick note before bulldozing so that I could replicate the main building layout without having to rewatch the whole tutorial. So as you just saw, I did the main layout with just the walls of the actual main Dunkin' Donuts building, and then I just did the concrete path for the drive-through, and you saw me just do the main just walls layout of the bathrooms, and I'm currently doing the parking lot and pathway for the bathrooms. And then I just did the floors, and I'm starting with color just on the floors and then the walls, just trying to get my bearings because I here am really trying to stall figuring out what to do with that bathroom. I'm just going to try and get everything done before I have to decide what to do with that bathroom. So the floors was just basic wood planks for the main dining area. Then for the kitchen, it's just dark checkers. Then for the walls in the kitchen, it is this white brick tile, and for the walls in the dining area, the two accent walls are this kind of Dunkin' Donuts feel pattern with some white and a little bit of orange and a lot of brown. And for the rest of the walls, it's this nice simple neutral squiggly pattern. So here I'm doing the employees only door to the kitchen, and with this I decided to give it some personality and use this swinging door and made it floating so that I could make with these basic shapes these stairs. I thought of that and I'm like, whoa, that's an epic idea. I think it would look so cute, and let me tell you, I was right. It looks so cute. And then I put this painting with this little piece of tape on it just to say employees only. So actually going back to the walls, I was looking at them and I was like, these are a little bland. So I decided to add this really nice, rich, dark wooden high trim, and in the same color and texture, I did some crown molding. And I did pillars outside in front of the building in that same color and general style. And I also did a little pillar in the one corner sticking out of the dining area. Then moving on to the kitchen, I selected a counter for the whole kitchen and the whole establishment itself for that same pattern and style. And here you see me replicate the stairs that I made with the basic shapes just on the other side, because it's still lifted on the other side, so you're gonna need stairs on the other side as well. So then I put here a spice cabinet in that nice color, and I decided it was a little dark under there, so I just put a lamp there, and adding more counters and appliances like ovens and stoves. And here I am using the same basic shape, just making it bigger as steps up to the drive-through windows. I thought it would be a good idea because I've never actually been in the area where people go to the drive-through, but I believe they have like a little counter, so I thought it'd be cute just to have a little step up and then you're a little higher up at the window. Then I added a couple cabinets, one of them holding the microwave, and I also added some appliances that I will switch out for other appliances later, because I was very specific about which appliances I wanted in the kitchen, because in this next part that you'll see, I do have a kind of bar situation where it'll be like your coffee bar for like your drinks. Like, I wanted the kitchen to be the place where you don't want to see all the food being baked. And I do have to compromise a little bit on that idea because of space, but it still ends up being my vision pretty much as I wanted it. So I add a sink and a clipboard and a paper towel roll. The clipboard is for like when you're taking orders, just to give that kind of simulation. So moving on to that drink bar area that I just mentioned, I put the counters, and then I originally had 2 entrances and exits for the employees to go in and out of, but I got rid of one of them because of the display shelf. And as you see here, it doesn't fit too well together with 2 gates. So I got rid of the one next to the display shelf so that it could be a little more together. And then I put the drink fridge and I did counters in the back, and I actually go back to the kitchen to fix some appliances because I add another employees only door, so that instead of having to get out of behind the counter to just go to the kitchen, since the kitchen is right there, why not put a door to the kitchen right behind the counter, you know? So that's what I did, and I had to move around a couple of appliances, but my goal for the kitchen was really to have 2 ovens. That's why I had to smush 2 ovens together, so that when we're baking, like, it's always a problem with, oh my gosh, there's more than one person in this building, and only one person can use the stove at a time. So I really needed a second stove. Then moving back to the drink bar area, I added appliances such as a microwave and a blender, a coffee maker, espresso maker, a toaster, and a kettle. And I also added an industrial sink. Yes, there is a sink in the kitchen, but it's good to have a sink out there too. And I put a deep fryer right next to the sink since there was only space for a handheld fryer in the kitchen. In the drink bar area, I also add a dishwasher tucked under the counter, like in the kitchen. Then I add bar stools, 2 on the right side and 3 on the left side if you're facing it how it's facing it right now. Then I add a big picture on the back wall, which is where the menu is going to be shown. And finally, adding some natural light into this place, I put 1 window on the back wall of the drink bar, and I finally replaced whatever open window that I put in the kitchen for actual drive-through windows once I see, oh, I forgot they added actual drive-through windows. And then I just put more windows on each wall, and for the front wall I put a commercial automatically opening door, because the whole time I'm debating which door to put in it, I'm like, I'm not gonna put the carousel door, so that one works. I forgot they had that one. And then I also put bay windows as seating for if you have a large group. And I know you might be thinking, hey, Joelle, that's a little fancy for a Dunkin' Donuts, but it does not have to be. It's literally a couch against a window. And finally, moving on to the seating, as I said, I made the bay windows into a large group seating area instead of having like a giant table in the middle. I think that's a great substitute for that. And it's not even a substitute. It is what it is. And I also just put some plain marking as trim for the pathway in the front of the Dunkin' Donuts, just for some definition. Then I add a cash register and a mini fridge, and I put an automatic door opener on the door to the kitchen from behind the counter, just for a little flair. It's really not necessary, but I like it. I also add a drink dispenser machine, and I also put some speakers, and I will put a jukebox later. It was just at the time in another plot of mine, and I was not willing to spend my Bloxburg to buy another jukebox, so I put that in later. And I am now actually working on the seating, and since there are these wide windows, I decided to put a couple tables against the windows just to have like a window seat, instead of only the large group getting a window seat. You know, that's not fair. And then I put 3 other tables in the middle. You don't need too much. It's not a fancy restaurant. It's a Dunkin' Donuts. Not that many people actually sit down in a fast food place unless they're waiting for their online order. But that's just from what I know. Being completely honest here, I actually struggled a bit with the lighting in this building. For whatever reason, I could not get it to be bright enough to the point where it's not blinding your eyes so that you can't see anything, but also soft enough that you don't have to squint to read the menu because it's so dark in here. And for whatever reason, that was a struggle. So I tried to add lighting on top of every table, and I flip-flopped between linen and just pure white, because sometimes, as you see here, it's just so dark. Linen's not gonna do anything for it, but then when I add a little bit of white, it's so bright you can't see the walls, and it's just blinding. So I tried my best to balance it, but it was really difficult, you guys. That I added these spotlights on top of the bay windows, as well as this giant chandelier on top, just trying to distribute it throughout the place. I don't know if it's the layout doing something, but it was not helping the lighting. And as you saw a little bit ago, I did add another clipboard on the counter of the drink bar. And then I made these menus. I just got a random simple book, and I simply just resized it to stretch it out and make it look like a menu. And I also put napkin holders on each table, but for the bay window tables, I put 2 napkin holders on each of them, and then I also put 2 menus on each of the bay window tables. But every other table has 1 napkin holder, 1 menu. I just did that on the bay window tables, 1 to have variety, and 2 so that because it's a longer table and what you want people on one side of the table to reach all the way to the middle just to get a napkin. Nah, we don't have to do that. I personally, when I'm in that situation, I don't like being in that situation. Let me not give these people that situation to be in. Then I also put napkin holders on the counters of the drink bar, and I put 2 trash cans on either side of the drink bar as well. Then I have my open and close neon sign outside, and I have my exit sign inside. Then I put a couple of signs outside, one for when you walk into the Dunkin' Donuts and it's going to have the menu on that sign, and one for the drive-through. And I am also here just adding some grass on these 2 areas next to the parking lot, and I also put a couple plain markings just to separate the drive-through lane from that. And here I am finally working on what I have been stalling for this entire time, the bathrooms. So as you see, I'm actually coloring the outside of the bathrooms. Off camera, I think I forgot to record this part, but I guess I already did all the walls outside on the main Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm just copying that same brick texture. I also apparently did the roof, as you see here off camera. Guess I forgot. And I'm taking that same wall design from the kitchen and putting it in the bathroom. And whoa, super quick change. My iPad actually died as I was recording all of this, so the screen recording did not save. My bad. So I just added sinks, toilets in the stalls, and automatic hand dryers, and paper towel dispensers and mirrors. I also added trash cans, of course, and in the women's bathroom I added a couch with a little side table and flowers, and then I actually added a fake wall made of basic shapes, just with the same wall pattern on it, so it looks like a wall, since I'm not allowed from my rules to add any walls to these old builds. So I actually conveniently make it into a place for employees to get their moods up. So it has a shower in it, as well as a sleeping bag in it. And that's actually really smart. I don't know why I didn't do that before. Oh wait, I know, because I was not smart. Since before I literally had a sleeping bag on the grass in the front of the Dunkin' Donuts. But anyways, you just saw me making this elevated roof and leveling it, and that's why the pillars are there, and I just put some lights outside, and here is the final product. Here is the before and after. Well, that is it for today, guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat, and let me know if you want me to continue this series. The series is actually really fun for me. I am really enjoying it, especially because I love building in Bloxburg. I hate having to come up with the design. I love having the layout already laid out for me without having to come up with the design. That's why I have not done Bloxburg building tutorials in a really long time. I just can't come up with anything right now. So I'm really happy I started this, because now I can finally enjoy building again without having to rack my brain for a design. So yeah, let me know if you want this series to continue. I'll probably continue it anyway because I really like it. And please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. And I hope to see you guys whenever. Bye.